All right, all you freedom-loving boys and girls, Mark and Redbeard. I don't know if this is going to be a Centerline Systems video. It's probably just going to stay on Mission Critical Podcast. So we're out here, we got Redbeard, myself, we got Cousin Husband. We're doing a little bit of target practicing, zeroing some weapons platforms. So today is Wednesday, the 11th of October. Tomorrow, we're going to shoot part 2 of a series that we did called Guns and Things. Yep. And so, you know, what we're just trying to do, and everything that we do over a Mission Critical Podcast, you know, we're trying to give some information, give some feedback, and try to make it value added for you watching it. And so when we're out here, we just realized, okay, well, we're going to do one and we're going to talk about shotguns, right? So, because there's a common misconception that, oh, I don't really have to aim it. I just point and it just goes, the BBs or the bullets go everywhere, as some people would think. Not the case at all, right? Yeah. So, you know, this is a very specific, you know, kind of home defense type of shotty. You know, I'm not going to hunt with this, but your average, whether it's a pump, over, under, you know, side by side, you know, you're going to run different size chokes. You're going to run different size shells. Every shell has a different size shot, you know, and so what we're just going to demonstrate here is I'm going to do 2 rounds of double-aught buck, and then I'm going to do 2 rounds of game load, right, for like hunting load. And you're going to see, and when I used to teach, I used to do this all the time when we were doing at the end of our handgun classes. I'd have 2 targets right next to each other, and from 10 yards, and right now we're at 15 yards, and this doesn't have a choke on it, right? And you're going to see how concentrated it actually is, and you do need to aim. And yes, you do get the benefit of, hey, I'm aiming here, and depending on the load I'm shooting, I'm going to get a lot of impact here, right? That's what's nice. But it isn't like you know, there could be a target or a person right next to Jeremy, and depending on the range, they're not going to be impacted at all. So we're just going to have a little fun. Right. You want me to shoot it?
Yeah. You want to go for it?
All right. So just hang on. Everybody put their ears on. Yep. So right now, right now I'm set up for, you know what, actually, I'm going to go to, I'm going to shoot the double-aught buck first, and then I'll end it with the game load so you can see the difference in the spreads here. All right, so here we go. Everybody's got their ears on? All right, range is hot. All right, here we go, boys and girls. That's double-aught buck from 15 yards. So you can see that's pretty damn accurate, right? You know, there is a spread to it, but it isn't like it's going to just like go all over the place. Now watch what it would be like with a game load. So you get the point. You need to still aim. You need to know your choke. You need to know the load you're shooting. Yep. But at the end of the day, 15 yards. All right, so you can see, even on a game load, you know, I guess maybe I'll throw this out. Here's where I guess I think I'm going with this. As a home defense weapon, this is very safe. You know, look, if you only have an AR and that's what you're running for home defense, I mean, you got to think that through. You know, like, what is your backdrop? What are you shooting through? What your target is? This is 15 yards with the home defense shotgun, and you're keeping a nice tight pattern, right? So it isn't just like, oh, I just point and there's
and it just magic.
It just magic happens. No, you still got to aim. You got to know the load you're shooting. You got to know the choke. You got to realize what that does at different lengths or different distances, right? I mean, what do you want to add to that? I mean, look, there's only a handful of pellets that went up into the head. Almost all that stayed center mass. I mean, so that to me is pretty impressive.
Well, and so, you know, if you want to get more technical with it, which I'm not going to get super technical, but the only difference is when you start, you know, you'll have guys that'll talk about, you know, over penetration or something like that. And it's like, look, you can do a reduced recoil, you know, a lower velocity load. And I guarantee you, if somebody or whatever your target is that gets struck with it, it's still going to hurt, right? Like it's not like, it's not, you know, and the thing of it is too, it's like a reduced load or a reduced recoil load is also a little bit more tenable for women, you know, and that's nothing against women.
Well, and not just women, but for anybody else, you know, if you're not accustomed to shooting a shotgun, or if you're diminutive, you've got a smaller stature, but it also means you're going to cycle that weapon a lot faster and still be able to maintain your point of impact, point of aim.
Higher degree of efficacy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So what else do we want to add to it? So again, I don't know if you want to zoom in real quickly on the target itself. Dude, we're at 15 yards shooting a really small barrel shotgun with no choke.
Yeah.
And that was just 2 rounds of reduced recoil buckshot and then 2 rounds of game loads. And I mean, look at that right there.
And really, like, the only other thing I'll put onto that is you saw how tight it, I mean, it was a fairly tight grouping for buckshot, you know, and again, it still has enough velocity to follow through with a tight enough pattern to where you don't have to worry about.
Well, and then, you know, my last plug, now we're going a little bit longer than we really intended, but to your point, you know, shooting that buckshot, I mean, that's like getting hit all at with, like, depending what buckshot you're using, but this was 8 rounds of 32, like from a 32 caliber handgun, that you just got shot 8 times in one press of the trigger.
Right.
That's pretty devastating right there, right? And it does, you know, and it doesn't matter that they're all not right here. You know, that was still like a little bit over my hand. If you looked at what that was, matter of fact, maybe we'll have to go back, or if you're watching, rewind. I don't even remember, but like, wasn't it really about this big?
Yeah, it was no bigger than a pie plate grouping, really.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe one outside of that, but I mean, let's be honest, it's
we're
still
at 15.
doing what it needs to do.
And we're at 15 yards.
Yep.
So, all right, cousin husband, you want to add anything to that?
No.
All right, we got a cameraman.
Perfect.
Redbeard.
No, I think we summarized exactly what we set out to do. And again, you know, just be cognizant of the fact that it's not going to spread out all the time. You know, the only difference for something like that is if you have, you know, a choke that has a certain spread pattern, but even then you still need to get out to a certain distance for it to be effective that way.
And, you know, there's the last little point. And so if you are, you know, if you got your hunting shotgun and you're going to be hunting grouse, and then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to hunt geese or you're going to hunt turkey. Those are different birds, require different shots, and you got to get out and pattern your choke and pattern that round you're going to shoot. So doing what we're just doing right here. Like, you know, because goose hunting, you know, you might be taking that shot from 30 to 50 yards away, right? So you're going to want to run a different choke, and you're going to want to run a different type of load as well. So,
yeah, and my last thing on chokes is just be cognizant that, you know, you have things called duckbill chokes. So basically it'll give you a nice horizontal pattern. Otherwise it'll give you a vertical pattern. It really depends on what you're trying to do. So when you do make that choke selection, be cognizant of the pattern, again, like Mark was saying, of what it is you're trying to go for and what's going to be the most effective for your needs.
All right, I think that's going to wrap it up, because these guys got to shoot this a bunch of times, right? Because you can see we're trying to be a little serious, but now there's going to be a little bit of fun here too. So, all right, I think that wraps it up. So from us at Mission Critical Podcast, or even if you're watching this over on Centerline Systems, again, I might share it in both places. You know your equipment, get out and use your equipment, field test, and know it. And just to, again, the whole thing about this was dispel the myth that, oh, it's a shotgun, I can just point it and it just does things magic. No, you still got to aim it. And again, depending on what you're shooting, you can have a really nice tight pattern. So, you know, again, when I used to do this, the last little point, I'd have 2 targets, you know, about this far apart, and from 10 to 15 yards, you're shooting this and there's not a single BB on that one, right? So again, know your platform, get out and practice with it, and you know, as always, be safe. But, you know, for home defense, shotguns,
it's not a bad platform.
Well, and then here, I'm just going to end it on this because we're doing it. So imagine, you're just step off to the side for a second. So imagine, you know, like, you know, whether, you know, you are a young person, an old person, whatever. I already know how I'm going to respond to this. If I'm breaking into your house and I'm downstairs, and then I suddenly hear, halt, who's downstairs? Identify yourself. I am armed. And you hear that racking. I'm armed and I will defend myself. I'm going to be the person who's be like, okay, I'm going to clean your cat litter. I'm doing your dishes. I'm going to, like, you know, wash your car on my way out. Dude, that iconic, you know, just, dude, that's like the sound of a rattlesnake, right? You know, that just equates to danger. And I just don't know of too many people who'd be stupid enough to, you know, you know, like, are you going to aggress somebody when you hear that? Or what would you do?
Well, I don't like the sounds of shotguns that I'm on the other end of, and I've never been on the other end of one, and I intend to keep it that way.
Yeah. So
it's one of few guns that, you know, I remember briefly, what was it, a couple months ago, a 9mm will basically clear out your lung. It's like, no, a shotgun will do that though. So for being accurate, no, that's I worry a little bit more about something like that. So
all right, I think that is going to wrap it up. So again, you know, whoever, you know, Mission Critical or Centerline Systems, I hope you found this informative, dispelled some rumors and myths. If this is over on Centerline Systems, again, check us out on Mission Critical Podcast. So we'll shoot the video tomorrow night. We got a bunch of special guests, and then we publish the videos on the following day at 1400.
Yep.
So it'll be live on Friday, the 13th. Dun, dun, dun. Friday the 13th this year. Nice. October.
We'll shatter another myth right there.
Yeah, right. So anyway, so we'll have it up on Friday the 13th at 1400 Central Daylight Time. And I think that kind of does it. So I guess I'll kind of do my Centerline Systems to go, because we're not really sure where this are.
Yep.
And your outro would be too long for this right now. So hey, if you got questions, comments, reach out anytime. I'll do the best I can to help you out. Or we'll Redbeard if you reach out to us on Mission Critical Podcast. Until then, boys and girls, keep thinking, keep moving. Never quit. We'll see you later. All right, everybody, be good.
Take care.
Woo!